what we got for you today, I think it's going to be pretty neat. I don't think you've ever seen this on the inner tube either. Just going to be neater than heck. We got a Stihl 029. I know I show a lot of Stihls. That's because I live in a poor community. That's all we can afford. I just pick them up out of the junk pile. A lot of times they're still brand new, got tags on them. People couldn't get them started. You know I'm kidding. I like all brands, but I'm the first to open the door to make fun of myself. Not that anybody could find anything to make fun of me for, mind you. But it's out there. Anyhow, what we got is this Stihl 029. It was straight gassed or run hot. I don't know. Pistons melted right in the ring, so we chucked that out. Crank's still good, and I got another crank, but this crank's still good. And we ordered the Duke's piston, Popup. So we got us an aftermarket cylinder. This brand right here come off the rainforest. The numbers aren't too bad in it, guys. 151 duration, so about 75 and a half. Exhaust 98 and a half, so about 163 degrees total opening. And the transfers are 126. Blowdown's 27 and a half degrees, which gives me room to work. I'll probably reshape them. But the squish was 59 thousandths, so about 1.5 millimeters, and that's a bunch. And that's what we're going to get into this time. Archer and I had spoke. Archer 82, you'll see him in the comments a lot. And he's got his own channel. He's got a couple videos and some shorts and stuff up. Him and I discussed, I think in the comments, I don't want to take credit where credit ain't due, but I think I talked to him about basically doing them bearing pockets down and setting that squish. He's done all that. And I hadn't done it. I'm not sure I give him the idea or not. Doesn't matter. And I've got an email into him. If he don't care, and he's got a video coming of an 025 or 250, same motor, doing that. He actually set the squish, and he actually done the chamber by hand. He done the bearing pockets by hand, the seal pockets by hand. Running saw, man, I think it turned it on for him. Anyhow, but guys, I am not into stealing, so or one-upping him. So what I'm trying to say is, if he says it's okay, I'll show this. And he did it all by hand. I built a mandrel on my lathe to accept sandpaper. I probably won't do it at once, but I can do the bearing pockets both sides at once, and hopefully keep them true. And I can do the seals same way, and I'll show you that. If you're seeing this, it worked. If it didn't work and you're still seeing it, I'll warn you down here, but if you're still seeing it and it didn't work, it's probably because I really got on something else that I think you guys would like seeing. But I plan on this working. If you're this far, it's probably worked. If you like them little Easter eggs I put in the videos, I put this there in the front. Appreciate you guys watching. Man, I have a good time. Make fun of myself. Pick on other people just a little bit, but it's good. It's good spirited. It's clean fun. I feel a lot more comfortable making fun of myself than anybody, and you guys can jump right in. I don't mind. And those are in a lot of my videos. They're usually farther in, deeper in, kind of a little nugget. And I guess if you ain't watching, you may not see it either. If you're listening, you may miss some of the stuff I do. I do it for my amusement. Mom always said, don't encourage him to make him worse. It was too late by the time she got the word out. Been this way all my life. I'm going to bring you in there pretty quick. I'm not going to waste you much time. I'm going to mostly show you doing this and running and getting a dyno run on it, see where we're at. Get a before and after. Well, I don't have a before, guys. She's junk. But I have done the proof of concept on this pocket right here. If you can see it, I've done the proof of concept on this pocket. I moved it down about 7 thousandths. That's going to run our timing numbers. We're at 98 and a half on exhaust, so that'll give us a little bit of room to play. Reshape that. Our intake is 151. It's going to lower that. We may not want to touch the floor of that intake. And one other thing I got to do, I guess I got to put this piston in there and see how much room we have before we freeport. That's something you guys will want to check. I don't know how much how much I got to play with. I hate to do all this bearing pocket just to find out I can't. We're going to start out. I've got my micrometer here. A guy can probably use a dial caliper a little bit harder, but I'm going to measure off this bottom bearing stake place. We're at about 700 and 78 and a half thousandths. And if you don't get this exactly the same spot every time, you can climb up the side or down the side. So it's a little difficult to do, but I think we're going to get her done, and we're going to try to take about 30 thousandths off this. I'll show you doing that. What I did is build an aluminum mandrel here, which is undersized to when I put sandpaper over it, it will come up to size. As a matter of fact, I'm only putting one layer on right now. It takes, because this is coarser sandpaper, it takes 2 layers of 100 grit to get to the right thickness. This is 60 grit. And I've been working on it a little bit. Essentially what it does is it centers this up right in here, where the ring seal lips at to keep that from coming out. I've taken my parting tool and cut grooves in there where this will ride. So we're working on taking her down right now. Essentially what I do is just turn the lathe on real slow, and I can sit there and hold that. And if I can put you guys down here, you can, I don't know if you can see it or not, but you can see the aluminum grit just dripping out. So it's doing what it's supposed to do. And take plenty of measurements. And this is first go around. I think the proof of concept is going to be there. I hope I don't mess up the cylinder. But if I do, I guess that's the cost of learning. Maybe I can save you guys. And I know you can't see what I'm doing with my arm in the way, but I'm trying to hold that square. I'll bring you back when I get a little closer, show you what we've got done. But there, you can see we're working away at her. You're going to see how rudimentary I do stuff. I've got this zeroed out. This is, and you'll laugh at me. I'll probably still show you this even if it don't work. But it's worked before, so I expect it to work again. A lot of times I make my mandrel out of PVC pipes, get the right size, and get a collar or an end bell or whatever. And the inside here, probably can't see it. That's turned down to that cylinder size. I clamp on the inside with that little bitty 3-jaw chuck, and I put a hose clamp on it just to keep it round. And you don't want to take off 40 thousandths at a cut. I've got me just dial indicator set here on a magnet. Hopefully I don't bump that. If I do, I've got measurements here where I can re-zero. I'll bring you along. We'll take small cuts, and about like a pygmy eats an elephant, one little bite at a time. Well, guys, we're eating her off there. Like I say, just a couple thousand at a time. This cleanup cut, or it's just the first little cut. I took one a minute ago, and to be honest with you, my hose clamp was going to get into my tool head. So we re-zeroed everything, and we took about 2 thousandths off most of the way in. We're going to see if we can get her the rest of the way in now. I'll try to move you guys around the other side and let you see what's going on over there here in just a second. I don't know, poor man has 4 ways, but man, I'm happy. Taking about 3-4 thousandths at a cut, and it's manual. You'll hear it skipping. Well, we're hitting the corners right now. Of course, that's the first thing it hit. It'll sound out around because it never does hit all the way through, but we got bearing pockets in there is why you're not going to hear a standard sound like you'd be used to hearing a lathe that's making a complete circle cut that's trued up. You're not going to hear that on here. That don't mean it ain't trued up. It means it's skipping where the bearing pockets are at. Guys, just real quick, I want to bring you back in here. These pistons are different. This pop-up piston from Duke's, I'm sorry, is 6 thousandths shorter from the pin to the top of the piston than the stock aftermarket piston flat top that come with the kit. This one's 6 thousandths shorter up to here, but it's got a pop-up. Guys, there's another video back in if you'll look for this, basically measuring pistons. There's some pretty neat results on calculating the difference in this volume from the piston to the top. You gotta watch it. This one isn't that way, but you could have a flat top that gives you more than the pop-up, because like this one here, it's 6 thousandths shorter. So yeah, you gain the pop-up, but you gain 6 thousandths or you lost 6/1000ths of the whole circumference under there. It dropped the whole thing down. So guys, you'll want to watch that. If you wind up with something with a tight squish, luck of the draw, you may be able to put something like that in there and gain some squish and a pop-up. So kind of behooves you to know what you're doing. Mine's just by guessing, by golly. It's because I got a few pistons sitting around for 039, so that's what we found. Guys, I just took a Sharpie on the inside of that boot. As you can see that lip protruding down. I just made a mark in there to know about how high I want to go. I'm not going to hog it out great big, but I don't want that air fuel charge coming in there and hitting that wall. So we will open it up to there. There's a little bit of flashing on the bottom of that. I really didn't want any longer intake, but I'm going to have a little bit longer intake because I'm going to take that flashing out of there. It will reshape this a little bit, but other than that, we're not going to do much to the intake. The exhaust, I kind of like my numbers. We'll probably raise them a degree or so just by cleaning stuff up, and we'll probably widen them just a little bit. So we'll reshape the exhaust a little bit. Just wanted to catch you up before I go to hogging on it. Yeah, and before I go to hogging on it, there's where we're at on doing the bearing pockets and the seal pockets. We got those good to go right now, I think. Okay, there's going to be the basic shape of the intake. Notice we didn't even mess with the floor any. I didn't want any longer timing numbers. I took that lip off. Don't pay no attention to those numbers back there. That's my social security card. Surely you guys won't use that for ill stuff. I did lung the intake a little bit. Not much, but a little. And I'll texture this up here some more in just a minute. But I want to give you the basic shape where you can see when you do these lungs, you want to make sure they're even on both sides. Now I tend to make the right hand side just a little bit bigger than the left hand side. That's because I'm left-handed and I want that side of the saw to pull a little bit harder so I can get a straight cut. I tend to cut to the left, so I'll make this side of the saw stronger so it'll cut right. Got the piston out of the crock pot. Of course my hands ain't clean, but it's cleaner than they are usually when I eat. Anyhow, you can tell we didn't hog that out much. All we did is broke lines and things like that. We'll get a weight on that with the whole combination here in the short, and I'll get that to you. But there's the piston out of the crock pot. Now I can put my chili in there. I may have not done enough, but I didn't do much to this exhaust. My numbers was already where I wanted it, and that's before this piston. This pop-up piston's about 7/1000 shorter on the pin height, or 5. I can't remember now. I got it over there. So I'm going to lose a little bit of height, and I dropped this down. But taking all that in consideration, the top of this piston wasn't any below this level of this exhaust on the floor of the exhaust anyhow. So no sense in grinding on it. The piston doesn't really clear that, in my mind anyhow. Maybe there's some other thoughts about volume on it, but as far as opening that up all the way back in there, I don't see it doing much good. And it's just firewood saw for another person. But there's what I did to the exhaust. I widened it both a little bit to help expel exhaust gases, is my thinking. Get the exhaust gases out of there faster right before the a wider exhaust, I believe, will let you run a little bit shorter blowdown. And I'm not going to shorten up the blowdown terrible, and I've got plenty of blowdown, but I am going to pitch that blowdown up next. That's what we're going to do. You can see, hopefully you can see the transfers in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pitch those up, especially we'll put them in there at an angle a little bit. I want this side on the intake to open first if I can, but we're going to pitch him up, and then while we're in there, we want these gases to be able to hit that intake. So we're going to break these corners. We're going to stay off of our bearing pockets, but we're going to break these corners so that air doesn't have to come around this sharp corner. We're going to give her some lead in there, get rid of some of this stuff. Well, there we go, guys. I think we're about done chopping around on this. Now, hopefully we can see that well. I raised the exhaust roof barely any. I just kind of shaped it and took the rough edges off. That's about all I did. My exhaust was about where I wanted it. It'll probably wind up 102, 103, which would be good for where this saw's going. Intake, we dropped a couple degrees just because there was flashing down there, and I'm not sure if they did that for timing or not, but we've lowered this we've lowered this about 40 thousandths. So we started out at, I'll have to check here in a minute. I'll get you all the numbers, put them in the description. We lunged it a little bit and dimpled it like I like to do. Kind of a variance on what Iron Horse did with the ridges. Dimpled to me just easier to do. I didn't go too hog wild on this one, but you can see we've hopefully you can see that I'm moving around a little bit, but it's easier in my mind. It's easier for that intake charge to get up in those transfers. I did it on both sides. Now you guys have seen before on the MS250, a lot of times I'll take part of this bridge out, or this separation here. I didn't this time because we adjusted the squish a bunch. This isn't my saw. I'm not going to try to get the most out of it. I know you guys have heard me before. I don't make them too hot for this guy that runs the dual chain. Well, and I keep saying that. Well, it's the same guy. I keep building him saws. He likes them. Anyhow, this is probably a good possibility this here get run with a good chain, depending on him if him or his dad has it. We pitched the transfers up just a little bit, which lowered the transfer timing just a smidge. If you can see it in there, we've brought the transfers in just a little bit. Not what I'd call finger ports, but we did bring that corner in just a little bit. Hopefully you can see it. I'll get you a weight here on the piston rings, pins, and all that here in just a minute, because I want to write that down anyhow, and I'll get you that calculation on how much we've saved. Now these piston rings, this one here come with the Duke's piston. This one come with the Aftermarket. Now it's a lot thinner between here and here, so the thickness of the ring this way is the same, but the depth of it. So this one's going to have a lot less tension, and it's lighter. It's 2/10 of a grain lighter, and we're running a one ring piston. We're just going to put one ring on it. But this one should have less tension, and it's a good bit lighter, so we're going to use that one. Now that's something else I want to caution you on. If you look at these two intake boots, the one on this side is the Aftermarket. The one on this side's Stihl OEM. Look how much bigger this one is right where it goes into the carburetor. So we're going to choose this one. We'll take every little bit we can. But that's something to caution you about, something you may want to pay attention. That's like the wrist pins. I'm sorting through them right now, and there's a light one. I got to grab that one out of there. That's a half a gram of difference. The laws of unintended consequences states that this cylinder has a little tab down here that's going to hit this oil pump. It's going to need clearance if you drop it like I did. Oh, Mountain Man, this for you. This is how I get my Stihl saws to run good. I always use a Husqvarna gap gauge. That makes all the difference in the world. Okay, we got her together mostly. Worm gear for the oil pump was shot. Missing the air breather divider here, the pre-filter. But let's start her up. It's been started once, had one heat cycle. Sorry you guys missed it. I was on the phone and couldn't record. About tank and a half through it idling and bumping the throttle, starting to build some compression. I think she's going to do okay. Missing some parts, going to cannibalize off Mo 310 just so we can get it on, get it some wood and get it on dyno. 16-inch on the 029, turned a little over 5 horse. Getting ready to do a dyno run, 029. Kind of scared to put you guys right here in the bulletproof glass there. Keep your arms inside the windows. Stihl 029, we're going to have a little smoke on her. That's all right. Show you here is the original Duke's piston with all the components with which it came, wrist pin, rings, and piston, minus the circlips. All these are minus the circlips. Weighed 87.19 grams. The Aftermarket as it came weighed 86.55 grams, so a little lighter, about 0.7 of a gram lighter. And the mixed smoothed, and by mixed I mean I took the lightest ring, the lightest wrist pin, and then I smoothed out the piston some, and we made it down to 82.94 grams. Well, what's that mean to us? What that means is the blue line is top dead center force on the rod at each weight. The red is the bottom dead center force on the rod or crank at each rate, and the inertia is the yellow line. The Dukes, we were at 820.2 pounds of force on that rod. That's what the rod thinks it was holding, 802 pounds. At top dead center. At bottom dead center it was 434. And then it's just this inertia is 618.3 pounds. Okay? And you can see on the Aftermarket, wasn't much lower, 796 pounds, or pounds at top dead center, 430 pounds at bottom dead center, and 613 pounds of inertia. Now the mix, we dropped down to 763 pounds at top dead center, 412 pounds at bottom dead center, and 588 pounds of inertia. So what did we save? We saved 39 pounds at top dead center. Okay, we saved 22 pounds of force on that rod at bottom dead center, and 30 pounds of inertia over the Duke's stock piston. Well, what's that mean to us? I'll tell you what that means. So lightening this piston lets you run more RPMs with the same amount of stress, or if you're running the same RPMs, you have less stress on your rod, and less stress is good. So let's go on and see what we did horse pressure wise. The blue line is the 029 that I cut the base on, moved the bearing pockets, moved it all up. The red line, I just threw that in there for a comparison. That is my old 310, which is a pretty good run of saw. I pull a 28-inch bar on this saw with the red line. To be transparent, the red line, they got totally different exhausts on them. The red line, my old 310, it has an iron horse pipe on it. This guy doesn't want all the noise. It's got a standard pipe with about a 3/4 inch ID outlet, kind of angled off to the side, about 1.5 inches tube, inch and a quarter, 1.5 inches. But look where we stretched out. Now, what you want to remember, the stock 029 was 3.7 horse, so that's about right in here. That's the 3.75 line. That one we cut, we hit that, and we were above that by 12,250-ish. Now the 039, which would be a more fair comparison because we're at 039 bore and stroke now, was what I seen on it was, quote, up to 4 horsepower at 8,700 RPM. So about right there was where a stock 039 would have peaked out, right about there at the tip of my pointer. Well, we're above that in my old saw from basically 10.5 over to what, 67, 65, something like that. Now the one I cut the base on, man, it really stretched it out, and it stretched it out. It was 3 1/4 horse at 13,000 RPM. That's not doing too bad. A guy with some finesse would run that thing right in here and make it saw pretty good. And it stretched the power curve out longer, a lot flatter than even the iron horse pipe. I should have put the iron horse pipe on here, but I didn't. I just got this saw ready to go to the customer. By that I mean friend. I don't charge anybody to port saws. I just do it for people I want to. I just do it for people. They pay for the parts. I have fun. But anyhow, 4 horsepower, what the original 039 was, we were above that from, let's say, about 6750 on the blue line, and 4 horsepower's this line. So we run that up to about 11,750. So this whole area here, we were above what we were factory. Another one I was going to show you was just the horsepower chart. Let me know what you guys think about just the horsepower chart. The original one had the foot pounds, which is here, which we made 5.16 horsepower on the one we just did, and 4.89 on my old saw. So darn near another 1/4 horse. But anyhow, the foot pounds was 3.22. My old iron horse pipe actually pulled a higher foot pounds over in here, but less horsepower. Because we was down to 500 so horsepower. Not much difference, guys. Really, it didn't. You'd probably never notice it. But the old iron horse pipe hung her out on. Always, they tend to always hang it out on the torque. So. Then we'll see just the horsepower only chart. Guys, let me know if you like seeing the foot pounds or just the horsepower, especially when we get more saw charts in here, 3 or 4. Just showing the horsepower seems to spread these out just a little bit. But there you can see it again, the 310, my old 310, which is overbore, 039 cylinder, or 390, 4.89 horsepower, 5.16 on the other one, and we moved the RPMs up. We moved the peak up about 200 RPMs, but look at all that we gained out here from basically 11,000 on. I mean, we to 12,000, 13,000. We really gained a bunch. So guys, tell me what you think about it. Tell me what you do different. Tell me what you guys like to see next. I'll probably do another one of these saws. I've done a few of them, and I keep going further each time. So yeah, if I earned it, give her a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below. There's some good discussion down there. Any of you guys that ain't read the comments, go down there and read them. I bet you guys will fit right in and want to join in. Till next time, thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate you being here.